All right. We'll call this regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order on September 9th at 6 p.m. Can we have a roll call, please?
Melissa Muschik. Henry Corbin.
Here.
Steve Skaggs.
Here.
Jason Sampson.
Here.
Sandy Eric.
Here.
Dave Nielsen.
Here.
That leads us to approval of the agenda for tonight.
Move to approve. Second.
Vote.
And then if you want to do voice vote, Sandy, because yours isn't working, you won't be able to vote from there. So
I vote
we've got
aye.
all of them, but Alyssa's, so.
Yes. Approval of the consent agenda, please.
Move to approve.
Here's that. Oh, it's gonna show automatically. Okay.
Second.
Vote. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, the mayor has an appointment tonight. And I do not see Chris. So we'll take that up later, but he will be appointing Chris Corbin to the Historical Preservation Commission. So now it's time for the public forum, and I see we have a number of people that want to speak. This time is set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business that are not otherwise listed on the agenda, and no action may be taken. Please keep your comments to 5 minutes. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to bring council's attention to any item not listed on the agenda, and the speakers may yield their time to others, as it's a general rule. This is not a time to exchange our question. The mayor has the authority to reduce the time in accordance with the number of persons present and signed in to speak. And we do ask you to go to the podium and speak at the microphone, please. And we will start with proclamations first, just so we forget. Oh, yes, I do. Backing up, before the public hearing, Mayor Pro Tem is job number 2, my second chance at this. The proclamation, the first one is from the library, and it is a proclamation that provides sign up for the month of September and encouraging people to sign up for their library cards this month. So that will be needing approval from the council. No,
They don't need approval, just
we proclaim
out there. Yep.
We have proclaimed it. The second proclamation is for the National Clean Energy Week, which is scheduled for September 23rd through the 27th. And again, a proclamation of this is a National Clean Energy Week that we will be promoting. Now, I think we'll start with the good news, which is the Ray Beatty.
Yeah, so while you're driving that, so a while back, we purchased the cardiac monitor. This is the check presentation. The city was given a check for $15,000 from the grant work that Ray did with Prairie Meadows to support that cardiac monitor. So if you wouldn't mind, Mayor Pro Tem, we would like a picture of it.
City logo.
Well, thank you. This is fabulous. All right, guys, look right here. Let me see. I'm trying a new lens.
Let's say let the check
Yeah.
level.
You up there? Okay. So, yeah. Okay, one more.
And the cardiac monitor was purchased in use. So thank you very much for your. Thank you.
These two.
Yep, those total action items.
Okay. Andy Kelly. Construct is your topic.
Andy Kelly, 1322 4th Street. I own a building across the street, 1137 6th Street. 3.5 years ago, the beginning of the second phase of the downtown construction project. Got hit by an excavator. Notified Jordan the day after, since he was the building official in charge at that time. Followed up with a couple months later. Followed up with Ryan when he started. Followed up with Brett and Jordan a couple of times. Building's still not repaired. Last meeting, council decided 1 year and 11 months is a reasonable amount of time to take care of an issue. In 3.5 years. Wondering if we can see some progress over the next week or two.
Did Renaissance reach out to you?
No,
Okay, I will give them a call and make sure they do that. I was told they're going to be reaching out, so
when
I'll,
was that?
3 weeks ago. I was also told that you and Corey had a discussion about this a long time ago regarding you getting estimates on your building so he can fix
I've
it.
never talked to Corey personally.
Okay.
No, and as far as that, me getting estimates, my last go around with trying to wrangle projects, I said, did not go well for us. I've got zero interest in doing this. And I was double checked every step of the way. I was told by you that it would be handled. I've never talked to Corey. I'm going to meet with Corey and ask, but no, I've never talked to Corey. I'm not interested in getting estimates on it. I'd just like to get it done. We're double the amount of time of what the council decides is a reasonable amount of time, and nothing has been done.
So I've talked to 2 different brick companies. Ryan's not here, but Ryan did talk with one of them on my behalf. I also reached out to Renaissance, and Renaissance was supposed to reach out to you and talk with you about it. I've also called a brick company and I had them ship me bricks that would potentially match that, but they're not dark enough. When we spoke, you wanted bricks that would match that or become reasonably close. So I have been trying, and I have talked to Corey about this as well. And Corey told me that when you guys spoke about this, that you were supposed to reach out and get estimates, get it done and send them the bill.
I have not talked to Corey other than one time I loaned him a tap to work on a piece of furniture he was working on. I have never talked to Corey about this. I know you brought in a brick for me to look at, and you started the conversation by saying you knew it was darker than that was, you didn't figure it was acceptable. I've got an email from you from about 2 years into it saying you'd forgotten all about it, and then you had a call to me saying you were going to have engineers look at it or something, figure out a plan, and you go back on construct, talk to them. I mean, you didn't meet with me to look at it till about February of this year. I mean, even if we looked at a couple of bricks in the last few months, there was no action. I mean, nobody even met with me for more than 2 years. Nobody met with me. I did not meet with Corey. I didn't meet with you till February of this year. I've reported it numerous times.
Okay, we did also turn it into our insurance and they said it wasn't the city's responsibility, but I have still been trying to get it resolved for you. So I will call Renaissance and see if they can get someone out there to look at it. I know when I was on the phone with him and I spoke with him, he did do an aerial view through Google, but it's a company that's out of Illinois. And so they don't necessarily have any workers in the area. The 2 other people that I spoke with didn't want to touch it because of, I don't know why, but They didn't want to touch that area. They came and physically looked at it and they said that they didn't want to deal with it. I also talked to one of those companies about your windowsill. I don't know if it's limestone or what it is underneath your actual window. But they said that they would have to pull the whole entire thing out in order to fix it. I asked you if you wanted a cold patch on it and you said you'd prefer to have it replaced rather than have a cold patch on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to put back how it was, yes, I mean. You are, yeah, you did ask me if I wanted ground up for a cold patch on tonight. We're looking at offering a match to historic preservation, right? On the agenda. We've looked at, I mean, we're offering a match to the historic preservation committee, right?
yes, that's the
Okay.
resolution. Yeah.
And we've got a couple of different businesses that we're helping with. I mean, if the city has, and you guys adopted historic preservation guidelines for the preservation of downtown. So I think, I mean, whatever my preferences were, as my advocate, there's a few things there. As my advocate, I think you want to get it done historically correct in the guidelines you pass. And also, I'm not quite sure why we're. A couple months ago, we had a report from ICAP saying not having more claims, right? Insurance going up 80%, try to avoid claims. This should have been addressed by Construct a long time ago. I don't know why we're putting out city insurance at this point.
Well, thank you. Your time's up.
I got time.
Jane Hines?
Green Heights, 1220 Bay Avenue. I'm doing this on behalf of my sister-in-law and a few other people. You had talked, although Steve, I thought, had said you were going to wait on this, but the parking on E Avenue between Sixth and Fifth Street, you were looking at making a truck route eventually, possibly. And you want to eliminate parking, which is going to affect all those houses along there. My sister-in-law gets to her garage off the alley, which sometimes gets plowed in the winter, sometimes doesn't. My son plows it out quite often for her so she can get in and out. So you're limiting any parking for her to have company in town if you end up doing that. Just my thoughts to rethink these people that are being affected by this parking and various other things have lived in this town their whole entire life. And I think you need to maybe rethink what you're wanting to do with truck routes and parking for people that have lived here for their entire life. So that's all.
Thanks, Jane. Okay, the other items fall under agenda items, so we'll take them up when we get to the agenda items, the other yellow slips.
Sandy, you
Yes.
did miss the Historic Preservation Commission appointment right before the public forum. If you want to go back to that.
I did it.
You did do that one?
But we didn't vote on it.
Oh,
We
Yeah,
got a vote.
I was gonna say that we don't, we
Thank you.
didn't get a vote registered, so.
Well, let's back up.
Sorry.
No problem for me. Historic Preservation Commission. We would like to appoint Chris Corbin again to serve on that.
We'll move to appoint Chris Corbin on the
Second.
Historic Preservation Commission.
Please vote. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we're ready for old business and we have ordinance number 1059, an ordinance amending chapter 63 concerning speed regulations of the city code to make necessary changes on Sixth Street. This is the third and final reading.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion?
Just hope, just like, I know 19th Street, we had issues with people going through stop signs. I was on E Avenue and watched people go right through that stop sign this morning. So hopefully everybody stops and make sure all traffic stops.
We'll be retraining, but
Yeah.
I went through it.
I know it happens because everybody's in their own little world as they're going down the road, but break that habit.
There were 4 people stopped when I went that direction tonight, so maybe we're making progress.
So I know we can't put red lights on every stop sign, and I have no idea what the cost is, but like, is that something we could consider? Cause I know that's something that's been mentioned on the social media channels, but
One of the biggest things with putting a red light on those is, once you put it on there, you have to keep it up and running at all times, because if it goes off and then somebody doesn't see the red light, they could go through the thing and then we'd be kind of liable for that.
But to answer your question, the square little ones that are on top aren't too terribly expensive, so we could do that. But yeah, that would be the fear that Jason mentioned. Once they're up for good.
maybe wait and see how it goes once people learn that it's there. I mean, obviously people should pay attention, but should they, do they?
With the speed limit dropping down to 25, that should help a lot.
They should. Then again, I still cruise down South G and sometimes catch myself going 35, so don't tell Brandis.
On that note, any further discussion? Please vote. Aye.
That passed.
Motion carried. Next item of old business, approving a change order for the 19th Street Trail Project. The first one is from TK Concrete Inc. in the amount of $22,370.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I had a question, why are we doing this? And has to do with putting a culvert underneath the road. So luckily we don't have to close down that road in order to do this.
There's 2 additional pipes that will need to be established under there because we're changing it into the right of way rather than going through private property. But I mean, Brandon, if you'd like to expand on that, feel free.
Yeah, no, that's what you said, is really shifting it back into the right of way since the private property couldn't be acquired. Pipes need to be extended further and additional pipes need to be handled as well.
Does this still fall within the project grant amount?
Yeah, so we're still under 500,000 for the whole entire project. I believe the bid was 374,000, and so we're still under that 400 range. I think originally it was slated to be 1.5 million, and we were able to re-engineer it and get it down at 378,000.
Anything else? Please vote. Aye for me. Motion carried. The second change order is from Construct Inc. in the amount of $3,020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote. Aye. Motion carried. Approve a pay request from Construct for the SRF sponsored project. This is the Harrington Park project in the amount of $181,473.56.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion on that. Please vote. Aye. Motion carried. Approve the pay request from Construct for the 2024 street improvements project in the amount of $208,040.78.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Please vote.
That was approved.
Aye. Motion carried. First item under new business. Brenda is here for a discussion and appropriate follow-up regarding the fiscal year 25 human service funding recommendations.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, we had a brief discussion about this a couple weeks ago. I believe you'll find in your packet the full listing of the recommendations. And the Beta Foundation for Human Service Awards this year. So any questions on those?
Move to approve. Looking for approval.
You can pull applications on all of those as well. Okay, thank you.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion?
Do you want to have Luke talk now?
Yes. Luke, would you like to speak now to the issue?
Yeah.
Evening, Luke Smith, 732 J Avenue. I'm not talking about the actual items you're voting on tonight, just the fund in general. I should say also, I'm not here on behalf of myself. I am on the committee that helps portion out this funding. Funding has dropped again for this by more than 10% this year, from 40,000 last year to 35 this year, while demand for all of our major providers has gone up. Food First has seen increased demand. Both of our food banks have seen increased demand. Harmony Plaza is still busy, and Boys and Girls Club has gone from single digit usage during the after school hour to a waiting list with, I think, 40 kids, and another 15 on a waiting list to in the club. So we've whittled this project down to basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. So it needs to have consistent and reliable funding. And yeah, we keep reducing that funding with demand increasing. I think the city should be that source. City's gonna provide far more stability than any private donations that can vary with the season or the preference of whoever may be donating. So the city needs to be that source of stability, rather than relying on outside donors. That's my first take. Second, we went as a committee and asked Boys and Girls Club to reduce their ask for this because some of the funding was going for programming and curriculum. I've been on this committee the whole time since its inception. I think Brenda may have been as well. I've never, to my knowledge, seen definitions of what we're calling food, clothing, and shelter to apply, which can be good, can be bad. However, when we're talking about an after-school program, I think it's more than just a roof over the head of kids after school. Quality educational curriculum, programming, things fun to do that keep the kids wanting to go to a positive environment like that is important, and I think should qualify as shelter under this. So I hope in the future we have some definition of what that means, or some more wide scope to allow us to provide funding that would be good for this program, programs that.
Thank you, Luke. Ready to vote. Anybody else? Anything else, Brenda, that we should? Oh, wow. We had this motion already. So
Yep, you're
we
ready to
just,
vote.
We're ready to vote. Please vote.
Hey, Mayor.
I vote. You want to do your job?
Sure. Thank you, Sandy.
You're doing so good, though.
Oh, I just caught on.
You were rolling, yeah.
I just caught on. Yeah. So motion approved.
Thanks for Sandy for holding down the fort. I got caught at work out of town today and couldn't make it back in time. So now we are
23. New business.
8B, resolution number 23, 2024, 2025, resolution approving historical society agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jason, Dane, discussion.
This is real similar to the agreement we already had, right? It's just updating it for another, was it 4 years? I think, something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Just wanted to confirm that.
There was a comment earlier about the match. The match, as I read the agreement, is up to $5,000 it's capped at, so just to be clear of, the match is not unlimited.
Other discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. Takes us to C, resolution number 2025. Resolution approving development agreement between Nevada Economic Development Council, Andy's Armory and Adventures, and the city of Nevada, Iowa for Nevada Small Business Grant. Looks like Brenda's coming up to provide some information.
So, this item on the agenda is in response to the new, program. We launched and agreed to pilot in partnership with the city, NEDC, and Main Street Nevada. We got our first applicant who's provided a business plan and application. And we have done a walkthrough of their business. I'm prepared tonight to answer any questions you might have about the business, or the recommendation to provide the $5,000 grant that we've identified to split and support this new business in the community. So we've drafted in a development agreement that will be executed by the city, and NEDC is the funders of the project.
That's all, anything for Brenda?
So the business met all the qualifications that we
Yeah.
had set out before. Okay, that's great. Thank you for working through the process.
And, I've had a couple questions myself, so obviously the word armory jumps out when people see the title. I would say, yes, that's just one part of the business, but they'll be doing kayak rental, they'll be doing e-bike rental. They'll be offering classes, so again, just things that maybe people have on their mind when they see the name of the business. Thanks again for the partnership on this.
I'll move to approve.
Second, go ahead.
Second.
Dane, Henry, further discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. Okay, that is approved. Takes us to D, resolution number 2025. Resolution approving development agreement between Nevada Economic Development Council, Preston and Amber, Gable, DBA, The Well, and City of Nevada, Iowa for Community Catalyst Building Remediation Grant.
I think this is a record in terms of official items on the agenda, all good things that we're trying to wrap up and keep moving forward. So this is just a needed step so that we can wrap up the emergency catalyst state award that was provided to the building that will be the home of the Well, the new brewery coming to the community of Nevada. So they had up to $100,000 available to access. I think they access most all of it, so the correct amount should be in your packet, but again, excited, we should see that business open in the fall. NEDC provided the required local match on this project with the reduction in the building price.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Andy, Dane, discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. It is approved. Which takes us to E, resolution number 2025. Resolution approving amendment 2 of the local planning and administrative contract between Region 12 Council of Government Incorporated, City of Nevada, for the award of Community Development Block Grant number 20-CVN-068.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Steve and Henry, discussion?
So just a little clarification, this is just expanding the amount of money that we can spend on the administrative part of this, correct?
So this is, for the work that they did for the grant, all the block grants for the catalyst. It was for I'm drawing a blank, Karen.
Micro enterprise
Yeah, the
grants.
micro enterprise grants that we did.
Okay,
So we had a certain contract that they wouldn't exceed to do a certain amount of work, and they went above and beyond. So we're splitting the cost with them because it took a lot longer to close out some of those accounts. So we're splitting the cost in half because it took them several months longer to finish all of those accounts up.
Okay.
And I believe we voted on one of the last accounts, either last council meeting or the council meeting before that.
Anything else? Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. Takes us to F, resolution number 27, 2024, 2025. Resolution deleting property from the Nevada urban renewal area.
Move to approve.
Second. Henry, Dane, discussion. Seeing none, council please vote. It is approved. Takes us to G, ordinance number 1060, 2024, 2025, an ordinance deleting property from the tax increment financing district for the Nevada urban renewal area of the city of Nevada, Iowa, pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa, first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jason, Sandy, discussion. Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. Taking us to H, resolution number 28, 2024, 2025. Resolution authorizing payment of user increase in wastewater costs from general reserves. And we'll start with a comment card from Luke.
Again, I'm speaking more on the general topic of the water rates that we are talking about. We last saw proposed rate increases back in June, 3 months ago, and have seen no other proposed rates or communication of what that rate increase may be. So I was kind of hoping we could go down the line and have each of you give maybe an idea of what you'd like to see in rate increases, if you thought the last proposal was sufficient, if you thought there's any changes you'd like to see from that.
Well, I think I'll just give an update if that was going to be in the report anyway. So since then, we've been working with obviously our largest stakeholder, asked us to hit pause, go back to the drawing board and start talking in more detail about some of those things. And so we've been doing that. We've been meeting, we've been communicating at least weekly with their team. We received a new proposal from their team about a week and a half ago. Our staff, engineers, wastewater consultants, city clerk have reviewed that. We'll be meeting with the development committee tonight to review that and then ping them back. So that's where we are at this point. Ultimately, you know, there's marching orders from the development committee that's looking at this. That is, we cannot allow our residents to subsidize industry, and we can't allow it to disproportionately impact our small users. So those are the two key principles on the rates. But part of that is honestly more of the treatment agreements. So I've worked with 4 city administrators who have all felt that our treatment agreements, our wastewater ordinances don't work well for the city. They think that they're not sophisticated enough. They don't protect our residents. And so we're trying, now that we have the new plant, to start over to get those right for future councils and mayors so that they're not in that position. So the treatment agreement honestly has more of the details that we need to get flushed out with our industrial users. And that gets into all of the details about how they test, what they can discharge, all of the oversight. And so that's where there's more things that have to be determined and negotiated. So we have a draft that's gone back to them. That's been mostly Aaron and their council going back and forth on the treatment agreement side. And then the rates have been between Chad and us as elected officials. Because he's their government affairs guy at corporate now. So I don't know if that helps answer the question.
More comments on what you'd like to see from our proposal?
I like to see everybody pay their share of what needs to be paid. I don't want industry to be getting off scot-free. I don't want us carrying the burden as residents. So if we use 1,000 gallons, I want to pay a certain amount for those 1,000 gallons. I want to see Burke pay a certain amount for their 1,000 gallons. If their 1,000 gallons is dirtier than our 1,000 gallons, I want them to pay more. So
That's kind of similar to what the previous proposal.
mhm.
We support the previous proposal.
Would I support the yeah.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think we have
It's not
to do
required.
anything.
I think that would not be legal, would it?
Yeah, we're not here to vote on this matter.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a vote, I'm asking for an opinion.
Stop it. We're not doing that.
Luke, you've sat here, you know better.
Come on.
Come on, this is open communication.
Let's be reasonable,
Everybody's-
Luke.
Well, Steve, let's be real about the water bills that have been going up.
The mayor
Are we
get,
entitled to have an opportunity to plan.
you are absolutely entitled to go up there and say whatever you want to say. There's no requirement for me to answer your question.
You're 100% right, but that non-answer is also a very strong statement.
I don't think it is.
There's no communication about this.
it's because we're trying to make sure we get this right. And our goal from council is get all of this in one package so we can answer questions all at the same time. Because as piecemeal comes out, it adds to the confusion. And so our goal is to get the treatment agreement, the rates, everything buttoned up, and then we'll do Zooms and coffees and all the stuff like we've done in the past for
I understand all of
things.
that. That's what you should be saying. Okay,
It's
you
what
all
we've
know
been
what I do
saying.
for a living. Have you ever been stuck on a plane for 2 hours and nobody says anything? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, and we can put that out. I
Open
mean,
communication, even when it's bad news, is better than no communication at all.
yeah, and we've given updates every meeting about this too. I mean, it's not been hidden. We talk about it every single meeting when we're in here, which is zoomed online for people.
But no detail, like people wanna know what the water bills are.
But we don't have those
know
yet.
that.
There's
You can
dozens
have-
of scenarios at this point.
You can have, similar to what Jason said, you can have principles that you have in mind.
Yeah, and that's, we're residents won't be subsidizing industry. And our lowest users won't be disproportionately impacted. Those are the two principles on the rate structure. And so there's different ways that can look. You know, it won't be 0, it absolutely won't be 53. And we know that.
I still feel like you should have had all this ironed out before you even put the shovel in the ground.
But we didn't have the project finished to have final numbers for one. So
That's just dumb. I don't build a new house without.
Do you want to get up to the microphone and speak, please?
I just voted. You're not gonna respond to it anyway.
as far as the cost goes, that was voted on at the beginning of 2020. Luke was on the council, it was voted on. That number is the same. So the estimates are the same. We knew what this was gonna cost. We also, in the development agreement with Burke, it said that when the plant was final and up and operational, we would negotiate their final numbers. That's where we are. So part of that is council commissioned a wastewater study to review the treatment agreements, the rates and all that, which came back in the spring. That's where the recommendation came from in June. That's where we were asked to pump the brakes, and we did. And we've gone back to negotiate some of those details with industry.
So who is financing this right now? Cause that was the whole thing on the secret 7 o'clock meeting. was that it was, you were trying to stop this $53 a month.
Yeah.
That was the backstop that you never intended.
So that's this action item. So Burke has paid and then we have paid. So we're alternating that the payments for the debt in the meantime as we work this out. They committed to do that. We've committed to match that as we work through this, to give it time to get it right. Because the last thing we want is to knee jerk and rush it and get it wrong. So,
Okay, where is your money coming from?
well, and part of the, if we're gonna keep going, we'll have you go over there, Shane, so that they can get it on the recording. The city's money is coming out of our reserves.
Where is the money coming from?
It's coming out of our reserves.
I don't know what that means. I mean,
It's money we put
all-
aside for rainy days and things like that.
Okay, so it's still our money.
Yes.
Oh, I need, so we are paying for it.
One more add-on, what kind of work have you all been doing, and you can all speak on this, what kind of work are you doing to speak with the community on what their opinions are, what their needs are, where they're going to be able to afford these rates?
Well, if anyone
We
from, yeah,
We don't know what the rates are yet. We don't know what the rates are yet.
We can't tell people what we don't know.
and so once we have a proposal that,
They're not in the negotiation room. They're not the ones having these conversations.
Hey, Luke, people want the rates to be low. We know that.
Everybody does.
I do. You do, they all do, we all
The
do.
work negotiation doesn't matter.
It does.
It does matter.
Yeah.
If
It
it's
matters.
$1 million or $20 million, you're still gonna have a rate structure.
but it all starts with that number.
Doesn't, but even after that rate's gone, the bill's gone, the rates are gonna continue, you still have to have a rate structure.
So in the development agreement with Burke, they would prefer to pay a lump sum upfront of their debt share. But that has to be negotiated. We can force them through rates to pay for debt, and then we're all paying interest on that. So it's better for us, it's better for Burke, it's better for the ratepayers if they pay upfront and there's no interest paid on debt going forward.
So I hear what you talk about to Burke, what their needs are. How have you reached out to the rest of the community on what their needs are?
Well, and that's what council's doing. I mean,
I know, I'm asking for examples.
so our job is to protect everyone, like Jason said, right? So we're going to bat for all of our residents and ratepayers and making sure that it comes out fair for everyone where no one's paying something they shouldn't. That includes Burke, it includes the public. You know, we hear every day, you know, we all know it needs to be affordable. We know we're in an inflationary environment that's horrible, and any increase is no one's gonna be happy with. I mean, everyone is gonna be mad. We know this, right? And we've known that since we knew we had to build a plan over a decade ago.
And in my line of work, I'll give you the advice, rip the Band-Aid off now and get it over with.
We will, once we have the numbers. I mean, we'll be zooming online for everybody like we did those virtual coffees. We'll have live discussions about it. I mean, we'll make sure everybody knows how to calculate the bills and what that will look like.
You need to communicate more, even if there's no news, you still make sure everybody knows that you are listening to them, that you care about them, okay? You need to communicate better, there's been zero since you.
I mean, like I said, we talk about it in here every time. Nothing's hidden. I just had a 45-minute conversation with somebody yesterday about
I'm one of
that.
the few people who watches Zoom. There's not 7,000 people in here. There's nothing that's been said on the Facebook.
I mean, I think we've heard,
You can communicate that, you can always communicate.
yes, we can. And we'll go back and see if there's other ways we can put it out.
What's that?
Point noted, thank you.
Your time's up.
Okay. Council, back to H.
Move to approve.
Second.
Dane, Sandy, discussion on that? Seeing none, council, please. No.
Did you overlook me?
Oh, I didn't see you out there, sorry.
I got, all right, sorry.
I don't have, oh, is that?
No.
Is it from last time? Oh, it's under,
Unless,
under this?
is that Michael Pond?
I will.
Yeah, sorry, it was under the EV one from last month, so you can hit up there, Mike. Sounds good.
Well, address.
Yeah.
Mike Potter, 1071 T Avenue, Nevada.
Mayor, council. I stand here with respect to two members of my family who formerly served on the Vega City Council. Jane Heinz, number one, and my father, James Potter, who taught me to believe that what is right will always be right, regardless of the circumstances. So, I'm going to start off, and thank you, Luke, for bringing most of my points that I wanted to make. But several years ago, my basement was flooded with sewage due to a lack of inspection on the T Avenue 11th Street project, and I had to stand before the council right here as I'm doing right now to discuss liability. Zoom ahead to today, and I understand the whole city will be on a sewage pumping station to the new treatment plants, and I am concerned about the problems and liability from a potential pump failure down the road. There have been pumping station failures in the past, New Addition as an example, but they didn't service the whole city. So I'm looking for clarity on the potential liability for the homeowners regarding this. And again, regarding communication, I have heard different stories about this pumping station, and it's not going to be built up to handle a larger population, and parts are not readily available for it yet. Those are questions that need to be answered to the community. Second, I have a series of questions there that you have there, and I know that we won't spend time discussing each one of them, but I think they need to be addressed to the city. Are you voting tonight to pay the debt out of the reserve, which you have said? How much do you figure for reserves for this year's budget? How much is the reserve? Does anybody have an idea how much is in reserve in our budget right now?
Karen, do you know how much is left in the reserves?
The general fund, it's around 4 million.
How much is this debt, month's debt payment, and does that include interest? Is there a finished and signed agreement with Burke, which you have said there is not, it's your communication? Again, the city needs to know these things. Is the payment only on Burke's side or covering the citizens' portion as well? Can you address this? On which side is the interest accruing? If only on the citizens' portion, there's certainly no rush for Burke to reach an agreement. If they can kick it down the road without paying any interest on it, that's to their benefit. When will the plant and pumping station be operational? And number 9, I know is going to be a discussing point, but previous administrations had come up with a figure much lower for moving the plant out south of town. And the estimates that I understood at the time were around $30 million, and you're up to 60. And also in the packet and things that I read, they indicate the water bill adjustment from 8 to 53, which you talked to me about. But you haven't decided, or you haven't placed it out in the public's purview, just like Luke was talking about, for us to know. And knowing full well, we're in an inflationary time, I really think that information going out to the community positively to let everybody know what's going on. You know, this is not going to impact not only the citizens of the Vega one time. You go to the car wash, you go to any of the laundromats, you go to a place to eat. How would you like to be eating at Casitas and they tell you they'll be $3 for a glass of wine? No, you don't want to have it. So you need to really get this information out there and work harder. And the last question is, without making it political, when is this going to be resolved? We need to know. Okay.
All of us would like it resolved right away. And part of the issue is when we send this response back tonight, the other direction, it will be reviewed by attorneys and engineers, dozens of each, and they will send it back to us, and then we will have to review it and run numbers and send it back to them. So if it were up to me, we'd be sending it back and forth every day, but unfortunately you have to wait for other folks to review it. I mean, Aaron looks at stuff, our bond attorney looks at stuff, our engineers, our consultants, our staff. And so that's what happens on our end, and it's similar on the other side. So as far as timeline goes, there's that. I'll see if there's anything else that stood out in here we haven't already discussed tonight. Oh, the pump station. So we certainly can, and I don't know, is Mike on the Zoom?
Mike is not, no.
Okay, I don't know if Brandon knows the details. He's gone over that with us multiple times regarding the backups and fail safes that are involved, but.
Yeah, I guess I don't know as much as Mike knows, so I don't want to pass along any.
Yeah, I can tell you a few things. There's, the pumps are designed to run underwater, so if it floods, they can continue to pump. There's room for another pump to be dropped in, there's room for emergency pumps to be plugged in that are brought in. So there are multiple fail safes with this thing to make sure it doesn't back up like other ones have before. So that was a question I got from Andy a few months ago, and so we had Mike give us the rundown on all those fail safes.
I had a couple questions on, I mean, the follow-up to it was, is it operational right now?
The lift station, I don't think is final.
No, it's not final.
But you've been waiting on a control part for it for years?
We have the control part, it's being installed. We were waiting about a year for it.
I think a little over, I mean, that was one of my concerns, is this is something that's critical to not back up. It has to work 100% of the time, and we have to be able to repair it. And it took a year to get the part to make it operational to begin with. That's a bad omen.
And we can verify with Mike, but his explanation to us is there are external pumps that they add on to this thing if the internal ones break down and it continues to pump. So it has backups in case the whole thing floods, they can keep pumping. They can add, like, there will be 3 pumps to start. There's a 4th spot that one can be plugged in, and then the external pumps can be plugged in case of emergency.
Sure. Man. Brandon, I don't think I was dealing with you, I was dealing with Larry. One of the reasons I continued kind of a hang up on the price is because when Mark Olson and I were tasked to do land acquisition, Larry was telling us at the time 30 to 32 million, and he was telling us to locate the property where we did because it'd be downstream. Has it always been engineered with that $20 million lift station?
I can't answer that. I'd have to go back and.
Okay, because when I was on the land acquisition committee, because I'm a nuts and bolts guy, I said, leave it where it's at. Now, they didn't want to. The quote was, we don't have our bathroom by the front door. The other problem was we were too close to residences. And my answer was buy Don Jewel out, put an easement on the property, finish the project, resell the property. We might take a loss, call it $1 million loss. And we had that in land acquisition. We're looking at 32 million. I verified that a couple of times, and I think, Jane, you've kind of heard the same number, right? I know inflation plays a part of it. That's one of the hangups I have with the $60 million numbers, because when I got off council, we were looking at 32 million, and nobody was talking about a pump. Nobody was talking about a $20 million pump station, because my contention was we could leave it right where it was. Grow it right there, buy the residences, sell them. So the hangup I have is in that time, whether we've had inflation, whether we had to add the pump, whether it was retroactive. At a point where there's a $20 million pump that has to be added, I think we could have looked at the situation again. I know when we look at the numbers after the project was engineered, we're under budget. That's for a $60 million budget. We come in at $59 million. When I got off, it was maxed at 32 million. Nobody was talking about a pump, which Brett says adds another 20 million. And my contention was we could have left it where it was at. I mean, at a point, if a pump is almost half of the project, that's a sizable increase. And also, the pump adds a lot to the operating cost, right? We're paying to operate the pump. That's part of the increased operating cost of the plant.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't in these initial conversations or currently, so I'll have to go back.
I assume a high horsepower pump setup is running semi-continuously. I mean, we're paying electric to. We don't have answers, but that's when we throw numbers around. The reason I was able to get off the council and not feel too guilty about it was because we thought we had the answer, and we were told to put it there by Larry because we could flow it to that.
Okay, I'll look into that.
And we can dig up figures too, because the pump part isn't 20 million.
It was around 8 million. The lift station was around 8 million. The trunk sewer was around 8 million.
And the trunk sewer was there no matter what.
And then the extra acquisition, the change in engineering because we weren't allowed to put it in the right of way added to it.
Which we shouldn't have needed all that if we left it where it's at, right? We'd have been blown up.
Yeah, that part's true. And I think part of the problem is
we wouldn't have right of way, we wouldn't have the lift. I mean, all the stuff you're adding is because we put it south of town, so that's the 20 million.
And we're back to H. And Mike, if there's other things on this, happy to go over that, and I'll make sure we keep that for record too.
I just echo, communicate with the community.
Yep.
People need to know, nothing travels worse than misinformation.
No, the intention is, so we did a Zoom during COVID with our engineers that walked through the whole project. We want to do that again, but we also want to have full answers for people so we can answer everything they're asking. So that's been the goal. You know, we can try to let folks better that we're continuing to negotiate so that we get those rates and treatment agreements final, but that's really where it's at.
And I think when we put numbers out there that aren't final, what tends to happen is people tend to take those as gospel, take them as final, even if they're not, and then they run with it. So it's, you said it earlier, you know, if you put all that information out there, at some point, it just adds to the confusion. So it's walking a tightrope there. Is that a fair characterization? But I also get it. I get what you're saying.
And we had the motion second? Yes. Okay, discussion further on that? Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. Takes us to report, starting with city administrator.
Had several meetings with Dorsey and Whitney regarding the documents and agreements that we have coming forward in the near future. Also talked with them about steps on changing some of the revitalization, which is urban revitalization is what you voted on tonight. We had our employee tailgate, which went over emergency services and functions on what we would do in case of an emergency, such as a tornado taking out City Hall, the library, where they'd pack up and function and work. We had foundation meeting. I hosted the Central Iowa Managers Association here in Nevada. Met out at the wastewater treatment facility to go over our security. Astra, who serves the rest of our buildings, had several wastewater discussions, met with a group of people pertaining to Christmas lights, the tree, and rink. Rod Curtis with the architect for doing the CDBG met with several owners and provided renderings for that. We had our Lincoln Highway Days wrap up. Today, Tim, Ryan, and I met with the county attorney, one of the supervisors, the county engineer over the sponsored project and the drainage, and then also at a IMU board meeting. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Moving on to reports. Covered most of my content already on wastewater. Story County Conservation had a meeting with them. They're going to be going out with a bond referendum. And so they've followed up since. They'd like to do a public thing here in our chamber. So they were going to reach out to Aaron Mosel sometime to try to set up stuff for that. So in case they already called you, sorry since I didn't warn you, but yeah, they wanted a place in the center of the county that had capability for hybrid meetings. So they'll be using our chambers, which the sound works very well, by the way. The video just wasn't updating, which didn't matter because I was in the car, so I couldn't watch it.
Working, we were having issues with it earlier.
Okay. And then otherwise, YSS, I was invited to do a tour down there. And I think most of you probably were too for their new Ember facility, but with all the mental health challenges and substance abuse challenges we're facing, it's a beautiful facility right here in our area. So I think it'll be really nice for our region and look forward to that being open. So with that, happy to answer any questions. Council reports.
Go Cyclones.
Okay, Aaron, Ray.
I'm good.
Just to let you know, we'll be putting an action form together, the fire department received our $60,000 FEMA grant for the assistance to firefighters grant, with purchasing 17 sets of bunker gear, so you'll see that action.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Marlis? Karen?
I don't have anything beyond my written report unless you have questions.
Same.
Chris?
No, nothing other than my report.
Karen?
Same here.
Okay, council, anything before we adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Dane, Jason, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay. And we stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.